Good morning, everyone. Everyone's looking very nice today. Today, I wanted to continue talking about the tagline that we have for our 125th anniversary year for the Betsuin here. And so, what are the three C's that we have for our tagline? Compassion, community, culture. Very good. All right, I heard one person got it. We have compassion, community, and culture. And so I spoke last time about compassion, and so today I'll be speaking about community. So community is defined as a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common, kind of like the scientific community. It can also be a group of people living together in one place, especially one practicing common ownership. So you could have a community of nuns. So those are two of the main definitions of a community, and community takes on a different meaning when it gets applied to religious institutions, and especially to the Buddhist one. So as we had mentioned earlier in the three treasures, we have the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And so the Sangha is actually another word for community. So Sangha is used in many Indian languages, including Pali, and it can mean association, assembly, company, or community. It can actually also be a last name, meaning people kind of together, so it can be a last name, and also in a political context for a governing assembly, such as a republic or a kingdom. And so because it's been used for a very long time from the beginning of Buddhism, anywhere between 2,500 to 3,500 years ago, it's stated that the Sangha, as a group of people following the Buddha, the monastics, actually is the oldest democratic institution, so predating all the ones that are existing today. So getting more particularly into Buddhism, Sangha refers to the monastic community of the monks or the nuns. So usually they're kept separate. However, nowadays there are orders that have both of them living together. And within the Mahayana community, so Buddhism broke into two large groups, Mahayana and Theravada. So the Mahayana, which is what we're part of, we use the word Sangha as a collective term for all Buddhists, whereas within the Theravada tradition, they use the word Parisa for the larger Buddhist community. So the Sangha is reserved for only those who are monks, nuns, and those who have taken the three refuges. So it's a different understanding, even within the Buddhist community, what a Sangha is, and this is a product of just the truth of impermanence, right, that we learn in Buddhism. So over time, different things happen, different circumstances within people, the differences of opinion, and because of that, the definition of what a Sangha is has changed even within Buddhism. And so even more so, I feel like it's changed for all of the individual Sanghas within each of those very large groups. So in particular, as we're celebrating our 125th anniversary, the Sangha here at the Sacramento Buddhist Church. So the Sacramento Buddhist Church started out, of course, as a immigrant religion. So the Japanese people coming to America looking for a better life, they brought with them their traditions and of course, their religion. So apparently in the beginning, they didn't bring the religion. It was all a bunch of young single guys, and they were all getting into a bunch of trouble. So somebody was like, you need religion. I think something also kind of tragic happened that they needed. But anyway, so there was a need for religion here. They asked back at headquarters to send some people over, and that was the beginning of the Buddhist churches in America. And 125 years ago was the beginning of the Sacramento Buddhist Church. So over time, the makeup of the Sangha and how it's operated has changed, right? So we're not in the original building. However, there's a group of people, they moved over, and it has changed from a basically completely Japanese community to one that had Japanese and Japanese Americans, and then now one that's much more diverse. And so as time has moved on, it's also changed, right? And this is also because of the circumstances. So early on, there was a lot of discrimination, a lot of racism against the Japanese people and just Asians in general. And so it was important for them to have a safe place to gather, to meet one another, to see their friends, to put on events, and also to pass down their culture. So because of that, it was very insulated, and they didn't really, I guess, take too kindly to like outsiders coming in, because then it seemed like, oh, I don't know, what does this person want? You know, maybe they're going to try to hurt us or something. And so they were actually very cold to people who weren't Japanese. And this actually is sort of present in some of the temples today. I'm not going to like name names or anything, but just in general. You know, some of the communities are very still strongly, they're very insulated. They want to protect, and it's from that mentality of before, of all the terrible things that happened to the Japanese people, and then going into the internment camps, coming back and having to start all over. There is that mentality of we have to insulate ourselves, we have to protect ourselves, we have to take care of our own. However, luckily, like Sacramento, a lot of temples also have opened up. They've been much more understanding of the changing of the times, changing of the attitudes, and being able to incorporate the greater community that they exist in into their temples. And this is one of the wonderful things about impermanence, right? We talk a lot about all the sad things, but one of the great things too is that we can change, we can grow, we can become different and in a better way. So as time has passed over these 125 years, the makeup of our Sangha, how it looks, has changed. And I think that this is this wonderful thing. So throughout this year, recognizing, of course, our past, where we came from, that community that built it up, and then the community that we are now, and the differences, I think highlights how much we can really grow even more in the future. So I would say that a lot of the people here still are of Japanese descent in some form, and that's not a bad thing at all. That's wonderful because it shows, where we came from. But at the same time, the more diverse we get, the more strengths people can bring, the more ideas we get, the more fun I think that we can have all together. So if you've been, playing the same game for a long time, it's fun to like change it up a little bit. And so in the same way, when we have our Sangha, it's wonderful to have, what we've had for so long, but it's also great to introduce new things, new ideas, new things that will help us grow into the future. So if we keep that mentality, that open mindset, I think we can be fairly confident that we'll be here for much longer in the future, that we're able to adapt, we're able to change, we're able to accept all of these wonderful things that people can bring to the table. If you please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.